So about half a year ago now, I made a video about Franklin and everything that we know he did prior to meeting Michael. And so I figured I should make the same one for Trevor, since you guys seem to enjoy the previous one a little bit more so than not. So, as many of us already know, Trevor was born in Canada, not far from the border with the United States. But he did spend some of his early years in the US as well. As he himself claims, he grew up in 5 states, 3 care homes, 2 correctional facilities, and altogether had 8 different father figures and a mother who was abusive to him in pretty much every single way imaginable. Ever since his childhood, Trevor had rage issues. A few examples of this is when he sodomized his hockey coach with a hockey stick, or when he strangled a clarinet player with the same instrument. At an unknown point in his childhood, when Trevor was abandoned by his dad, or well, one of them anyway, he, in a fit of rage, burned down an entire shopping mall. Trevor also had a brother named Ryan. However, not much is known about him, but it is known that he died before the events of the game, with Trevor claiming his death was an accident, quote unquote. But in a way where he implies that he killed his own brother. Trevor also dropped out of school early on. However, he was still good at math, and this was shown in the Big Score mission when he managed to calculate how much 4 tons of gold cost in just a few seconds. Later, possibly sometime in the mid to late 1980s, when Trevor would have been in his late teens or early 20s, Trevor discovered his talent for flying aircraft, so he enlisted in the Air Force. But just a few days before he completed his training and got his license as a pilot, he was declared as mentally unstable during a psychological evaluation, and thus never actually becoming a licensed pilot. And I mean rightfully so, since in a conversation with Wade, he did say that he wanted to drop a fucking nuke, so yeah, I wonder why he never got his license. After being discharged from the military, Trevor spent the next year or two near the Canadian-American border, committing petty crimes, basically just barely getting by, with no real purpose or direction in life, but eventually he did start running an air freight operation, smuggling cargo between the US and Canada. Now, this next part is unclear of when it actually happened, but it was likely either 1989 or 1990. The GTA Wiki claims that it was 1993. However, to me, the timeline does not really add up, since it is implied that Trevor knew Michael by the time Jimmy was born, and Jimmy was born in 1993. So if anyone can clear that up in the comments, I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're enjoying this video right now, leave a like on it and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as it helps me out a ton. We are trying to get to 1,500 subscribers by the end of this year. Thanks so much. Regardless, Trevor was at some unknown point waiting at a runway, and he was told he would be meeting one guy. However, it was 2, and one of them would be his future best friend and partner in crime, Michael Townley. It turns out that Michael carjacked the other guy, and the other guy started yelling at Trevor for help. Then Trevor shot a flare gun into the other dude's eye, and Michael and Trevor later dropped his body in a lake while the flare was still burning inside his head. And Trevor recalls, I believe during the mission Pac-Man, if I remember correctly, that they both threw up after that. What a way to become friends, am I right? Trevor's first real robbery, however, was at a place that cashed checks, but it was a massive fail, as the guy working there was someone Trevor knew, and that landed Trevor in prison for 6 months, of which he served only 4. After Trevor got out, him and Michael went on a decade-long robbing spree all across the Midwest, although they would constantly have to be on the run because either one or the other would screw up, whether it be Michael, who would constantly quote Solomon Richards movies, or Trevor, who would kill someone in the middle of the day for no fucking reason. Another one of their accomplices was, of course, Lester, who was responsible for planning their robberies, and even though him and Trevor weren't on the best of terms, they did tolerate each other, at least for business purposes. Not long after they started working together, Michael would get married and have 2 kids, which meant that he wanted to spend more time with his family, who Trevor also became very close with and was especially protective of his kids, who he saw as his niece and nephew. However, Trevor viewed Michael becoming a family man as him going soft, and at this time he brought a new member into the crew named Brad, who Michael and Lester did not like one bit. Brad even wanted to cut Michael and Lester off at one point, point, but Trevor said no as he stayed loyal to his best friend. However, everything would change after Michael pitched a robbery of a cash depot in Ludendorff, North Yankton sometime in 2004 or maybe 2003. He likely pitched it to his crew as really easy money, and the rest, as they say, is history. With that said, I want to thank you for watching this video. Hope you learned something new. Until the next video stream, bye bye.